Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. There's an amazing story. Even if it's like a story, it has a wonder of reality within it. It's about a pencil. After the pencil is being manufactured, the pencil before it's been sent to the factory, the maker of the pencil, the meaning the manufacturer of the pencil, is giving four important advices to the pencil. So holding the pencil, he began to say, sometimes, the person who gets you might cut you with his tool, chop you, and shimmer you, will shape you with a sharp blade to shimmer you. All those chopping, all those sharpening is for your beauty. It's to beautify you. That's the first point he said. So when you talk about life, you'll encounter a lot of strange situations, hardships, trials. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us with a lot of such situations and trials, just like how the pencil will go through. But what is the sole purpose for our existence? It's concerning the akhirah. You might have to, walk through the horrific and the very hardest of the trials. But for your akhirah is what you have to keep in mind. Because this is just the dunya. In the last episode where we talked about Asya bint Muzahim and the story of hairdresser of Firaun's daughter, what did that baby tell his mother? His or her mother. فَإِنَّ عَذَابَ الدُّنْيَا أَهْوَنُ مِنْ عَذَابِ الْآخِرَةِ. The punishment in this world is nothing compared to the punishment of the next. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was called Al-Amin, trustworthy, till he aged 40. Because past 40 is, when he got the wahi, when he got the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Jibril came to him and said, Iqra in the cave Hira. So when he turned 40, what those people, same people who called him Al-Amin, what they used to call him? Kadhab, liar. How did it feel, to be called a liar right on the face by the same people who used to come behind you, call you trustworthy and all? How did it feel? They followed him, called him Kadhab, then later they called him Majnoon. First liar, then they called him, oh, you are a madman. Oh Muhammad, you are mad. They were behind him calling many names. Oh Muhammad, you are mad. Then a third name that they called was Abu Dhar, meaning he's got no roots. So when there is a death in a house, people will come around to comfort the people who lost their family members or the close ones, right? To give their condolences. But when a death happens at Prophet's house, all they would come and say is call him names. You're losing your lineage. As in what? Like adding a spice to a rotting wound. He, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he never thought, listening to all the names that he was cast upon, like being called Kadhab, being called Majnoon, being called Abu Dhar. He never thought, I should go back to that the person who was called as Al-Amin. He never really thought about that. If you go forward in this dunya, you'll face really serious consequences, trials, and hardships. That's a known fact. But you cannot go back, you cannot stay behind thinking, you're safe. Now, if you not react to any of what is happening wrong, or if you don't tackle the things in a right situation, it's going to go well for you. You cannot assume like that things. The second point that the maker is saying is, dear pencil, sometimes a carpenter might get hold of you. He'll scrap you off the wood. Sometimes maybe a sculptor might get you. He'll scrap you off the rocks, off the clay. If a kid gets hold of you, it might scrap you off the ground. So the point that we understand over here is, don't assume life will always be the same. Our lives will also be like that. Will never be the same. Have you seen the graphs of, the listed companies in the stock market? The line graphs. It's filled with a lot of ups and downs, You talk about the bullish market, the bearish market, all those. You've seen the currency fluctuations. Does all the currency will have a fixed rate at each second? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has planned about the time, when we will laugh, when we will cry. So as per that we will definitely laugh. In Surah Najm, verse 43, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنَّهُ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. Moreover, He is the one who brings about joy and sadness. The one who makes you laugh is by your Lord. The one who makes you cry is also by your Lord. It will happen just like as He has willed, or just like as it's written in Lawh al-Mahfuz. Whatever happens in our life will be as He has written or as He has planned. The third point that the maker says is it's used for writing, meaning the pencil is used for writing. Mistakes may happen, mistakes will happen, but it does not. If a mistake does happen, use the eraser on the back of yours and immediately rub it off, erase it off. You are a human, isn't it? You will definitely sin. None of the humans who were born in this earth is a perfect man. You'll definitely make mistakes. That's where the term tauba comes. What does tauba mean? Repentance. If, for example, had we needed to travel to a place, but later en route you realize that the bus you've gotten on is the wrong one, what would you do? Immediately get down and enter the right one, isn't it? That's what is called as tauba. Your destination is Jannah, the paradise, but for sure that when you realize that your end result is not going to be the same, meaning the end result of you reaching Jannah or the paradise is not going to happen. What are you supposed to do? Return back, repent, do tawbah, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. Say, Ya Rabb, Ya Ghafoor, Ya Ghaffar, Ighfirli. That's what you do. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah. Oh Allah, forgive me. Why do we recite every day? Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim in Surah Al-Fatiha. Guide us along the straight path. Had He not told us everything we need to do to reach the Jannah, to have a position there? But still we ask for His favor. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us along the straight path. The fourth and the last advice that the maker is saying is you will be in different forms and shapes. Whichever form or shape you are in, you're just the same black lead within you. When you talk about pencil, it's not just that wooden covering, but because the wooden covering only gives a support to the black lead. So he's saying the pencil is just the black lead within you. He's nothing else. However big you are, educated, whichever job you've got, your body is, at the end of the day, it's going to be once your soul has been called, it's going to go back to that 6 feet grave to be eaten off by the mud. When your body is lowered to the grave, to the qabr, they move off the cloth from your face. So you'll decay off easily. Your cheeks and eyes will burst and rot off to the ground to be eaten by the tiny and teeniest of the organisms. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call comes, to return back to Him, for your soul to return up to Him, unto Him, you should make preparations for that return. All the natural disasters and calamities has taught us one thing, that whatever we've made or whatever we've earned here, whatever we gathered up throughout the years, cannot stop anything that has been written to happen. Whatever you've gathered up, if a calamity has to happen, if a trial has to happen, if you try to do everything from your ability to stop such a thing to happen, if it's written, is it written, it will happen. That's for sure. How much ever you try to stop anything from happening, it will have no effect to it. So what's the point? Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call comes, you should make preparations for that return. You should, how would it feel, to pass away peacefully when you're in a sujood, or if you're passing away on a Friday or in Ramadan? It actually feels great. Or suppose it's really what do you say, it's a great thing to die as a martyr, to die as a shaheed. Imagine a death like that. Next, we also realize when we see the homes and the cars sway away through the floods and other calamities. That's when we realize that we cannot stop Allah's trials from the earnings or from the wealth that we've made throughout the years of our existence. So value your life accordingly with the right attitude. We necessarily require a lot of changes within ourselves. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has repeatedly reminded us about the true nature of this world and the next, so that we may live and act accordingly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He describes the life of this world as a deceiving enjoyment, a fleeting pleasure, play and amusement, a temporary abode. Whereas what did he talk about the hereafter? He said it's better, eternal and lasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, know that the life of this world is only play and amusement, pomp and mutual boasting among you, and rivalry in respect of wealth and children, as the likeness of vegetation after rain. Thereof, the growth is pleasing to the tiller. Afterwards, it dries up and you see it turning yellow, then it becomes straw. But in the hereafter, there is a severe torment for the disbelievers, for the evildoers, and there is forgiveness from Allah and His good pleasure for the believers, for the good doers. Whereas the life of this world is only a deceiving enjoyment. It's in Surah Al-Hadid, which is chapter 57, verse 22. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد كمثل غيث أعجب الكفار نباته ثم يهيج فتراه مصفرا ثم يكون حطاما وفي الآخرة عذاب شديد ومغفرة من الله ورضوان وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. The last part is, whereas the life of this world is only a deceiving enjoyment. إلا متاع الغرور. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا ما لكم إذا قيل لكم انفروا في سبيل الله اثاقلتم إلى الأرض أرضيتم بالحياة الدنيا من الآخرة فما متاع الحياة الدنيا في الآخرة إلا قليل. He says in this ayah, are you pleased with the life of this world rather than the hereafter? But little is the enjoyment of this life, of this world, as compared with the hereafter. It's in Surah Tawbah, verse 38. So, as compared to the Akhirah, the value of this world, is equal to zero. It's not even worth a mosquito's wing in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, it's just like, a drop in the ocean. Do all such ayahs and hadith mean we should forsake this world and its pleasures and flee to the woods? No, not at all. We have been given this temporary dunya to prepare for the everlasting life in the hereafter. It's the means towards our actual destination and hence equally important. It is both futile and significant at the same time. This world is the cultivation stage, and the hereafter shall be the time for harvest. Like the lines, what you sow today, you will reap tomorrow. This instructs us not to waste our life by committing acts that put our life in the hereafter in jeopardy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us, and whoever desires the hereafter and strives for it with the necessary effort due for it, that is, to do the righteous deeds of Allah's obedience, while he is a believer in the oneness of Allah, in Tawheed, Islamic monotheism, then such are the ones whose striving shall be appreciated, thanked, and rewarded by Allah. It's in Surah Al-Isra, which is chapter 17, verse 19. ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا. But whoever desires the hereafter and strives for it accordingly and is a true believer, it is they whose striving will be appreciated. So now it's up to you, to question yourself. What do you strive for? Akhirah or the dunya, hereafter, or the life in this world? Ma'asalam. So, before ending the episode, the dua we are going to study today is, it's a dua that Musa alayhi salam said he made while traveling to the desert of Madian, when he had no place of shelter. So he made this dua while resting under the shade of a tree. The dua is, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. Rabbi, oh my Lord, inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. I am indeed needy of whatever good you may send to me. Ma'asalama.